I think if Michigan realistically, okay, can go 6-2 with that schedule, I think that's of those 8 games, I think that's pretty good. Considering you're breaking in a new quarterback, you lost a lot of your offensive line.
4 new offensive linemen.
I mean, I have to be realistic. I know, John, your expectations, it's not a successful season if they don't win the Big Ten. I get that. But I have to be realistic here. I don't expect them to win more than 6 games, and 6 is almost, a stretch to a certain extent.
Well, so here's why I don't think it's a stretch to get to 6 or 7. Obviously, the game against Ohio State, that's the one that's been hanging over everybody's head for way too many years, and we can talk about that more as we get closer to the game. But Minnesota is a tough start to the season in Minnesota. It's for the Little Brown Jug. Minnesota is playing really good football. Number 2 team in the West coming out of last year. I think the big question is, what are they going to be offensively without their offensive coordinator, Kirk Shiraka, who did a great job of developing Tanner Morgan. He's now at Penn State. And, it's just we saw that they could be successful against Auburn in the bowl game, but what are they doing possibly without Rashad Bateman, their receiver? So that's a question mark. And I think the other 2 question marks are the Wisconsin game and the Penn State game. And those are both at home. And if you go over the course of the last 4 or 5 years.
Do you really think home's going to make that much of a difference in these games with no fans?
That's a great question. And I don't think so, because there's obviously no whiteout at Penn State. And that's where they're going to be hosting Ohio State in week 2. I think that is a major factor. I don't think it'll play as big of a factor. But just going on recent history, both of those games have been won by the home team. Other than Jim Harbaugh's first year when he went to Happy Valley and won, it's always been by the home team. And for the Penn State game,
blowouts.
Other than last year, they've been blowouts.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 2 question marks. Michigan does have them at home, but to your point, there's not going to be anybody in the stands, so I don't know how much that will affect any of the visiting teams.
I agree on that as far as the fans. I just think, look, they've handled Wisconsin pretty well at home, true, but because of the fans, who knows if that's going to make a difference. Minnesota's not going to be easy. And in the other school, one of these years, I know you say, well, wait till it happens, because I always say it, Indiana, Michigan got to play them without their quarterback. Greg's got his head in his hand because I say it every year.
Yeah. They've been double overtime games,
yes,
especially down there. Now I know this one's going to be down there again. It's 2 years in a row we're going down there. Last year they handled them very well, but that was with Peyton Ramsey, not Michael Penix Jr.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting. Tom Allen always has that team ready to go. Mike Hart, running back coach down there. Obviously, was it Nick Sheridan is their offensive coordinator?
Yep.
That's the question I have this year. This is the first time for him being the play caller.
Greg's pacing in the studio because of Stoney's Indiana every year.
Exactly. I mean, this is borderline wait till Harbaugh gets his quarterback. I mean, we're waiting for Indiana the whole time. By the way, Indiana had the greatest player in the program history, and they went 4-4. That's Antoine Randall. The best they did was 4-4 in the Big Ten with Antoine Randall.
I know.
I'm not waiting for Indiana anymore.
But
and how many years is it? It's been like 30 plus years.
I know.
You're judging it against Michigan, though, how they play close games. Well, that's Michigan's DNA.
I understand.
When's Indiana do anything against Ohio State or even stay in the game?
They took Penn State to the wire last year.
Yeah, they stay in the game for a half.
Right. Yeah. No, but it has been a concern that they've been so close.
Yeah, exactly. And if it was that Indiana game that basically set up the formula for them to give up 62 that year.
I'm also not going to fear the Nick Sheridan-led offense at Indiana.
No, John said that it's his first time as a play caller. So,
and we get him week 3. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Their struggles in Indiana have always been on defense. Offensively, they're going to score some points, especially this year. Whop Philliard, one of their wide receivers, I think is a tremendous wide receiver. Ty Freifogel as one of their receivers as well. They've got some talent at the skill position.
And weren't they down wide receivers when they played Michigan too, or one of them got hurt during the game?
I don't think Fillier played.
Yeah.
And so they were down, but we had Nico Collins that day.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got the win totals from Vegas the other day sent to me for the Big Ten. You guys probably saw this. Ohio State's at 8.5.
Yeah, they're putting them in the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
To me,
but how do you argue that?
I know, but at the same time, there's only one way to lose, 9-0, or one way to win. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Even
Yeah.
if they go 8-1,
It's like even though you think they're going to be there and probably win the Big Ten, everything has to go perfect for that to happen. There's only one way to win the bet. There's a lot of ways to if you go the other way to win it. It's just all they got to lose is one game and you win.
I agree. As for the Spartans, look, who knows? I mean, Rocky Lombardi has not shown anything as a quarterback. I read what he said yesterday. He's ready, feels great, all that stuff. But it's a completely new system. Who knows? He didn't get there much of a recruiting deal. He didn't have spring practice. If they go 4-4, I think Spartan fans have to be ecstatic. And also maybe some of the new players or younger players going forward that they can see might make an impact. I think Spartan fans be very happy with 4-4.
I think there's 3 games on that schedule that they should win. They'll start off with a win against Rutgers. I think that is a good confidence builder. I think they'll beat Maryland. I think they'll beat Northwestern. That gives you 3 games. Then I think it comes down to, and obviously everybody's going to say, well, the rivalry game, the Michigan game, the second one, yeah, that's a rivalry game. We'll see how that goes. But they play Iowa with a completely new offense, new quarterback. Spencer Petras is going to be that guy. They've got Indiana, but they've got him at home. And then they finish up the season probably as hard as anybody, and they've got they host Ohio State, and then they travel to Happy Valley.
Right.
So I think there's 3 games in there they should win. And if they can steal one of those others, I think 500 is doable for Michigan State.
Ticket text. Notre Dame is getting what they deserve. Their fans were chirping at Michigan fans for the entire month of August while the Big Ten wasn't playing on fall football. You never want to see that happen. I'm sorry.
No.
Based on John's standards, Michigan is an abject failure for the last 10 to 20 years.
Hey, the standard is always going to be championship. I'll never back off that. I'm sorry. So
basically, when was the last Big Ten championship? 2002?
2004.
2004?
Yeah.
So for the last 16 years, it's been a failure? 15 years?
Like I said,
it's been a failure. By your standards, it's been a failure for a decade and a half.
Standard is championships.
Standard. So say the words. The last 15 years, my alma mater's been a failure.
Let me help John out here a little bit. Basically, what's happening to Michigan, and it's probably a little bit longer, is what happened to Ohio State in the 90s. But Ohio State never changed their standard. That's what I think John's saying here. Michigan's standard is there. They may not be getting there, going through a real long drought, but
yeah.
Okay, their standard might be there, but the expectations have to change a little bit. I mean, when you can't do it anymore.
Well,
you have to be real. You have to be realistic. You can't go in every year. We're gonna win the Big Ten championship. Come on, really? You're not.
I'm sorry. So I can never remove myself from being a former player, being a football alum. And yes, every year I go into it, and I just like when I would look at the schedule as a player, and I've talked about this before. I look at the schedule and I find ways to beat every team. And so, yeah, I'm going into every season thinking that it's going to be a championship.
Okay. I think that's the major problem with the fan base, to be quite honest. And I'm part of it, but I'm realistic. I can't go into a season thinking they're going to win the championship where I know they're not.
Stoney, I think you are conflating
standards with expectations.
With what you think is going to happen.
Right.
You are saying what's going to happen.
Right.
Standards and expectations. My expectation of what's going to happen is not a championship.
There's a length of time that has to go on, though, too. If you don't reach that standard, then you make a change.
Exactly.